Hi guys. I'm laughing because right at this very moment, wouldn't it be that a train decides to go by? So, welcome. I am just going to allow people to show up for a little bit. And in the meantime, I'm going to share my screen. There we are. And I just want to place me right there. Great. So the train will continue on in the background while I start. So I just want to welcome you guys to the Yogapreneurs website or webinar. My name is Colleen Bosberg and I am a registered yoga teacher. So I just want to tell you what you need for this webinar. It's good just to bring a piece of paper and pen. You have homework at the end, and some water, and definitely questions if you have any. So I'll just go over some housekeeping info. This is a live and interactive webinar, and I ask for you to keep yourself muted and your video off. But there is a live chat box, so feel free to ask questions. I won't be watching the questions all the time, but I will stop periodically to see if there are any questions to answer or any that are already in the chat. There will be a replay sent out for you to rewatch in your email, as you have been told. At the end of the call, I will tell you way more about me and how to book a call, but the webinar is not about that. It's more about getting these ideas out there for you to apply to your business right now. If you want to know more, just stay on the call at the end and then you can hear more. I will drop info about me personally throughout the webinar, but for now, I'll just give you a brief history. Most of the people that I work with already know this, so you get to hear this story again. I was a nurse in the ER for 17 years, various ERs. After some time, I was getting very burnt and grumpy with the people that I was working with. So I decided that maybe it would be best to leave nursing, and for me the next option was a doctor. So I applied, got into med school, and coincidentally at the same time started my yoga teacher training. I knew right away, oops, I made a boo-boo, I don't think I want to do this, but I had already asked everyone to support me through it, so I continued to go to med school for a couple of years. There was a point when I was nursing, going to school, and teaching yoga, and I decided it was way too much. I have a whole story around that area of time that I put on a podcast. I was interviewed for an MBO podcast, which actually has so much helpful stuff for yoga business owners. And if you're interested, you can hear all about it on there. But I decided with the help of a coach that I was going to quit nursing and quit med school and just teach yoga. And so I did, and I did really well at it. I decided to leave nursing January the 1st of 2 years ago, and I immediately started bringing in 5 figures a month, and I have maintained that throughout. So the reason I tell you all of this is so that you know that maybe I know what I'm talking about and why I'm here, why I would be the one that you would want to take advice from anyways. We tend to, in yoga, get stuck up on some of the principles of appearing spiritual and therefore being broke, and I just don't believe in it anymore. I feel like we can make so much more of an impact on the world when we have money, when we're able to take ourselves on retreats and take care of ourselves the way that we keep telling the people in our classes to do. So I'll tell you more about me after. So let's talk about your yoga business. Here's the big thing I hear. I don't have a yoga business. But if you're teaching yoga, you do, unless, you know, they're providing you with removing your taxes from your check, like you're an employee. You're not, you're a contractor. So if you have to invoice, if you have to pay your own taxes, if you are a contractor, any of those things, you have a business. So my question to you is, how is business? How is your business doing? And what are you doing right now in your business? How much are you making doing it? Are you teaching in studios? Are you putting on workshops? Are you doing series, retreats, kids, SUP, prenatal, meditation, privates? You know, there's so many things that you can do out there to bring in money. So what are you doing, and how well are you doing at all of those things? So this comes down to niche, or niche, as I've heard it called. I mean, I love it and I understand it, and I also feel like we in yoga, we're different. So I like to think more about like finding your voice or your flavor. What is your voice or your flavor in yoga, in your teachings? What are people coming to you for? And this comes down to the very first thing we're going to look at in the webinar. So, I mean, I did this. I took my 200-hour teacher training, and in it was the business of yoga. I think we spent 1, maybe 4 hours. I don't think so. It was maybe like 2. Anyways, what I've heard is that there's between 1 and 4 hours per 200-hour teacher training on the business of yoga. And usually it's really specific to studio. So teaching in a studio. How much to get an hour, Yoga Alliance or not, you know, the big debate, where to get your insurance, how to invoice people, you know, like really basic stuff that you definitely need to know to get out there and get started. So we finished our yoga teacher training and we're ready to conquer the world, and we go out there, and I find that most people feel that they just don't have enough knowledge. Who are they to be teaching meditation or kids right off the bat? So I introduced to you this cycle I call learning without earning. And I see it's a common thing that new yoga teachers do right out of the gate. They continue to work. Oh, it looks like it's just adding people in here, but I'll keep on going. This comes down to the first mistake that we are looking at in the finding your voice, finding your niche. So the learning without earning cycle, it tends to be that new teachers go out and they spend a whole bunch of time taking trainings. And trainings are awesome, so don't get me wrong. It feels good when you go to them. I love that we just, thanks for coming, Aisha. We just have your name up on the screen for everybody to see. How great is that? Learning without earning cycle, back on. So it tends that this is what teachers do. And don't get me wrong, because I love trainings. Like, I love the way that you feel when you're done. You have another certificate to add to the mix. But what tends to be is that you, like a yoga teacher, will continue to work their job that they had before that they're trying to leave, which is why they took the teacher training, you know, and then they're taking their money to fund this really expensive hobby of yoga. And the more and more you go, the more and more you feel confident in getting out there, but you have this array of skills, which is great. The problem is if it's not bringing you back in an income. So looking at the learning without earning cycle, there is a great thing that you can do that's really going to help you to stop spending your money without making money. I think it's really important to continue to have education, for sure. I've always had education. But what I have noticed is that I've spent a lot of money that I don't need to on trainings because I end up going a different route. So that really comes to looking at what it is that you want to do, to pick a goal. So think of your yoga journey like a path, and at the end of the path is a goal. Or maybe not even at the end, but there's goals along your path. When you come out of school, the smartest thing, I don't know, that you can do, I don't like picking words like that, but they work. So the best thing that you can do is to pick what it is that you want to be offering to the world. So I know this one really well because I took them all on. And we're going to talk about that. But when you can pick like one goal that you're focused on to continue down the road with, this helps support you financially in moving forward. So let's just say you decide you're finished your teacher training and you want to go meditation. So you choose that that's what you want to focus on, meditation or meditative classes. So what you would do out of teacher training, if you did not feel confident enough doing it yourself, you would take one training, and that would be a meditation teacher training or a restorative training or a yin, something like that that will help to develop those skills. It gives you something that you can put into action right away and start bringing an income in. When you follow that path and you pick a specialty, you're just going to pick specialties that support this moving forward. So when you choose meditation, or let's just say yin, you choose yin, then you're going to go and look and see who are the leaders of yin, who are the most well-known people. So I can think of right now like Paul Griley, Sarah Powers, and Bernie Clark, who is here in Vancouver, just so you know. So I would pick one or all of them and then order some books from them. And then read or check out their websites, their Facebook pages, because they're all offering these amazing supports. And then read. You take a training, yin. I mean, you don't even have to, because the reading will get you to offer what it is that you want. You practice yin yourself. You go to yin classes, and then you also teach. I mean, this seems counterintuitive. We want to learn first and then teach, but the truth is that you already know what to do. As a yoga teacher, you're probably a yoga student before. So you already know so much. It's just this feeling of lack of confidence or self-esteem that kind of pops in there. So you need to practice and you need to teach. You need to gain the experience. What I'm well aware of is the energy of doing everything. So when I started just teaching yoga, I let go of nursing, I let go of med school, and I then had this income that I needed to replace, as well as I had debt from med school. So the big goal for me was that I was able to cover all the bills, like not change my life, because as a nurse, I made pretty decent money. And as I had been building, I saw that there was a way that I could do this. So I then started doing everything. I was the go-to for kids yoga, meditation. I love meditation. I was teaching at all of the studios down here in the Fraser Valley, like pretty much all of them. I was doing stand-up paddleboard yoga. I like not just here, but all around. I literally hit like every avenue of yoga there was. So this was me, like everywhere, all over the place. And on top of it, working from like 6 a.m. till 10 p.m., driving around studio to studio, always on the internet, making sure people knew what I was doing, all that kind of stuff. I wish I could there we go. And just there. Okay, there we go. Yay, I did it. Okay, back on here. So I was out there like doing all of these things, working my butt off and bringing in the money, which felt great. But I was doing what I did in nursing and getting tired after some time, starting to burn myself out. What happened in all of that was amazing though, because I learned so much about like what to do and what not to do and what worked and what didn't work. And eventually you realize, like I realized I didn't want to be doing all of this work. I just wanted to be focusing on what was working. So that takes me to the next piece is like, really, instead of being a jack of all trades, what would it look like to be a jack of all trades, master of none, to be a master, right? The successful warrior is the average person with laser-like concentration. And it's so true, by Bruce Lee. It's so true, because I was just reading these in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali the other day, and he was talking about when you meditate on one thing, not on many others, and then he described it like digging a hole. If you're digging a hole and you dig 100 shallow holes, you're never going to get anywhere. If you're digging a hole and you dig, and then you hit a rock, and you stop and start digging another hole, what's to say you're not going to hit a rock in the next hole? So he talks a lot about like laser-like concentration, and it's a business concept. There is going to be bumps in the road, but that doesn't mean you need to stop. So what you want to do is become the expert. And this is how you do it. You pick a goal, you follow that path. At the end is what you're looking for. So let's go back to yin. This is what like Paul Griley and Sarah Powers and Bernie Clark did. They became known as the experts. And this is pretty much how they do it. They put all their focus and all their attention on that. They offered out information for people to learn. They started doing something different, and they became the expert. And it's not hard to be the expert in what you do, because on top of like Paul Griley, Sarah Powers, Bernie Clark, there's not just one expert, right? You would go to them for different things. Sarah Powers is a woman. She brings in the meridians into yin yoga like crazy. Do you want to go and detox your kidneys, or your liver? Like, you go to her for that. I don't know Paul Griley, I just know his name. I know more Bernie Clark. And he's like a clinical guy that was in the corporate world that, retired successful and started offering out yin. So when you go to him, he's not like overly yogi, but he is, because he's like very philosophical, but he's also clinical, something that I like in a person coming from my background. So not only do you become the expert, but all of your life experience, what you've done up until this very moment, makes you the expert in what you are offering, because no one else has the experience that you have. No one else has read the books the way that you read them, that turned out to be probably a perfect balance for you to attain the knowledge and then spew it back out to people. So you become the expert, and when you become the expert, what happens? Your clients come to you. You don't have to work so hard, because then, this happened. I was the only one doing kids yoga in the town I live in. So whenever anybody asked about kids yoga, kids meditation, chilling out, any of that stuff, they were all sent to me. I was tagged on Facebook all the time. There was so much. I was the kids yoga expert here in Chilliwack. And there was a couple other people doing it, but they weren't so in your face like I was. And they were doing it differently too, and that's another story. So when you become the expert, then you also become a people magnet. The people that want to work with you are drawn to you and will come to you. You don't need to go out there looking for them. How great is that? So it'll be really good to get clear on what your goal is, and just go back to the sutras in digging the hole and hitting a rock. Okay, when we hit a rock, most of the time, just human mind, brain, whatever you want to call it, the way that we often think is, I'm going to just dig another hole. this rock got in my way. Who knows how big the rock is or how much time or money or energy you're going to waste on trying to get around this rock. But the reality is, as I mentioned, that who's to say there's not a rock even deeper down in the next hole? These are, I think, placed there for us to learn, to challenge us to keep going. So when you, let's just say, become the yin expert of the internet, of where you live, of whatever it is that you're offering out there, there will be some times where it might feel hard and that maybe you should go a different way. And that's like the key to persistence and failure and success. And what all of these quotes are really big on is that that's not necessarily the truth. It's just a rock in the way. How are you going to get around it? What are you going to do to keep going? I was at Tony Robbins and he picked me to talk, and we're standing there, and it's just, you're on the spot. There's thousands of people watching you, and he's asking these questions, and he's like, he said, "I'm sorry, I don't want to offend you, but yoga teachers are a dime a dozen. What makes you different?" And I was like, oh, I didn't know there was that many yoga teachers that went to Tony Robbins, and the crowd was full of them. It was crazy. And I thought, what does make me different? And so I just blurted out teaching yoga teachers. And he's like, okay. And then we went in deeper around that piece of like what I could offer. And then I sat down and I pooped my pants. I thought, no, who am I to teach yoga teachers? And I was scared. And I thought, okay, hold on, just come back to me, please. I made a mistake. I can't teach yoga teachers. So I was already feeling the blocks, like even after saying it. But thank God he didn't come back, because then what I realized was like, okay, this is the path I've chosen. This is where I'm going. And I continued on that way. And it's not that, let's just say retreats are your thing. Then make it about retreats. Let's say, again, meditation is your thing. People are like, hey, I know someone who, has dedicated their life to meditation. So once you become the expert, you really become a people magnet. Just know that. And we're going to touch on this again. We're going to touch on all these things at the end again, but I for sake of time, just want to keep moving. So this brings me or us to brand. And some questions like, what really is your brand? Is it your website or your logo? Is it your social media? Is it your business cards? Like, what is your brand? And your brand is you. So I have told this story a million times, but I went to a women's networking thing. And I remember walking in, it was at a casino, in one of the upstairs rooms, and I walked in and there was a woman sitting there, and she had this crazy rocker hairstyle, and she was dressed like a rock star, and she was kind of loud, and I noticed her. And so it was an all-day thing. One of the speakers had called on her to answer a question. Like, she was there and she kind of commanded the room, and it became her time to be a speaker. Holy crap. And she gets up there, and she, of course, is a brand agent. This is what she does. So she started talking about your brand. You are your brand. She had purposely run a 7-figure business with a crappy website. And she did that to prove to people that it doesn't matter, like if you have a website or not, you are your brand. So what are you putting out there? I have a group, talk about it after, and in it, that's what this focus is this month, is you being your brand. So, the question is, and this really, once you've become focused, okay, you've chosen that you're going to be the yin yoga master, the meditation Zen master, or the kids yoga teacher. Now you need to look at your brand, and you need to meld them. So I myself, I'm covered in tattoos. I just shaved my head a few months ago. that's me. I'm out there. I swear a lot. I am me. And so when I was able to niche and decide what it is that my voice, my flavor was, then I could start to look at my brand. You know, if I'm constantly going out into public in my jammies, I mean, that can be okay, but if I am there to be teaching your kids yoga, what am I teaching if I always look sloppy? The other piece is, don't get me wrong, let's say you're always in your jammies, but you are like a meditation queen and you're all about like self-care and, and taking care of yourself and not rushing and being in the moment and, you know, always being on vacation, then that is who you are. But if you're not owning, like there's a broken down communication happening here. I think about being a kids yoga teacher and then having pictures on your Instagram of you in a bikini. You know what I mean? And that's fine too. Like, own that piece. Don't ever like have this double life. If you are always in your bikini and you're doing bikini contests and you're super fit and you're very proud of it, I mean, what you are teaching kids is that let's just say, like, I know someone that does this and is a married mom, and she wants her kid to have confidence. She wants the kids that she teaches to not be apologetic for who they are. And if that works for you, then own it. But don't be like, don't look at my Instagram, or not friend people because you're afraid of what they're going to see. There is a breakdown happening there. You are your brand. So what are you putting out there? And this helps, and it rolls into the next point as well, which we'll talk about. When you are out there like unsure and unconfident, so you're putting out there like, oh, here's my business card, but don't look at my website. My website's under construction, or it's not how I want it to be. There's an issue, right? What if you are just putting it out there, there's my business card, and if they go on and your website is kind of a mess, then it's kind of a mess because you're a busy mom that runs a self-owned business, you know, and do dinner and all these things. Like, what are you putting out there? That's important. What also is important is if you want to be very professional and you know, you're trying to do all these things on your own and you look ragged and your website's a mess and you haven't posted on your social media for 3 weeks, you know, and the kids are screaming, and then you're handing a business card that's like, just don't look at the website, it's a mess. That's not your brand. It's a reminder of your brand. It's a reminder of that disheveled, really busy mom that couldn't keep her shit together, right? So think about this. What does the professional mom that, I don't know, dresses nice and looks like she's taking care of herself, she hires someone to do her website, and she hires someone to do it now and the way she wants it, right? So getting really clear about your brand, and this is like a melding. And even the last point that we look at, they all kind of come together in what you're putting out there for the people that you're attracting. So some things that can really help is like being clear about what you're putting out there, who you are, what your path is, and then who it is that you're speaking to. The thing is, are you in integrity? The whole world around you is a mirror, right? I'm sure you've heard this. It's really big in yoga and one of the teachings. So when you look around and something drives you kind of crazy, that driving you crazy thing is about you. So where in your life are you showing up that way? What can you learn from this to apply to this, to have more love, do more of what it is that you were put on this world to do? put on this earth to do. You know, people don't pick yoga as a career unless they love it, is my experience. There's some story that we have about how yoga has pulled us out of the dark depths, or has given us a path, or has cleared our mind in some way. So when you are clear about what you want to offer, then start to add your brand. I mean, I was not apologetic for who I am. I'm not apologetic for not being the ideal yoga teacher. I'm not. I'm not. My body does not say I'm the ideal yoga teacher. My tattoos don't all say that I am the ideal yoga teacher. My words sometimes definitely do not say that I'm like the ideal yoga teacher. I think of, you know, someone who, Rodney for me always comes up. You know, he doesn't have any tattoos. He has a nice fit body, and he talks so like specific and eloquent, and he doesn't get too deep into anything. And I like throw up spirituality on you as my student, and I swear I drop the F-bomb a lot, and this is me. So if you want to come to my meditation, you might hear me joke about suction cupping your anus to the floor, or you might hear a fuck it meditation. You never know with me, but the people that come to me, they're the ones that want that. So, and I'm unapologetic about it. I love when I hear something like that in a meditation. It makes me laugh, and it helps me to just like chill and go deeper, because then I know I'm in the hands of someone that I want to be in, you know, someone who can hold space for me. So that's your brand. And I mean, I haven't seen questions come up yet, so I think we're okay. But if you have any questions, put them in the chat, and right near the end, I'll take a peek. Yeah, so websites, social media, cards, they are things that are important, but they're not you. They're just reminders of you. So one thing that you can do once you're clear about your brand is go back through everything and make sure that this is, you know, clear for you. I have my favorite colors, I have my logo, I have all those things that I think fully support who I am. And sometimes I am told like, oh, it shouldn't be so drastic, and oh well. So just own who you are apologetically. And we'll move on to the next one, because they all really go hand in hand. Your ideal client. Okay. If you've taken business courses ever, you've probably heard these things, and I found that for the longest time I kept seeing them come up throughout courses, but I never really took it seriously to sit down and get really clear about these things until I did. And then all of a sudden it's like literally not only a life changer, but a business changer. If your business is not doing what you want it to do, it's because you're not clear. So these 3 things that we're talking about on this webinar today are the 3 most important parts of your business. When I went to Tony Robbins, I mean, I paid a lot of money to go, and he says in the session that if you aren't happy and don't feel that you've gotten $1 million worth of advice from him in the first day, then you can go ask for your money back. He'll refund you all of it. So, I mean, in Vegas, that could look really fun. But the truth of the matter was, I don't think anyone said that they didn't get $1 million worth of advice. And the first day was pretty specific about your ideal client. And I thought, you know, I've heard this so many times. I'm probably going to be asking for my money back if this is the first day and all this stuff. And oh my goodness, it opened up my eyes to why this is so important. When you are unclear, so is your business, and so is everyone else around you. Nobody knows what it is that you want, what you're trying to put out there. Nobody knows. So finding clarity on these things, amazing. So your ideal client, do you know who your ideal client is? You might have more than one, and that's fine. But it's not like, let's just say, like I was teaching meditation, sup, kids, everything. I was teaching everything. How am I going to put out an ad for all of those people? They literally range in athletic ability. They range in age. They range in, can be monetary, like financial. How do I put out an ad to everyone? You can't. You need to realize like who your ideal client is in your offerings. And that's why if you're offering, all the way back to number one, if you're offering many different things, then your attention is broken up. You can't really become the expert in all three fields, and unless we're talking like 20 or 30 years down the line. And what would it look like if you picked, like I was talking about before, the goal is maybe not the end of the path, but like a level. So once you hit meditation level, then you know, there's not much more that you are going to do around that other than maybe offer the classes or the courses. What's the next level? You know, maybe next level is kids and teaching meditation to kids even. Then after you've put all of this time, energy, money, focus into this one thing, then, you know, the next thing only helps to grow what you're doing. It doesn't become a distraction of your time, your energy, and your money. It's like that digging 100 shallow holes instead of putting all your attention and digging one. So why your ideal client is the most important part of your business. Because it's your business. It's literally everything. Your ideal client is who you market towards. They're who looks at your social media. They're who go to your website. If your ideal client likes me swearing, let's just talk about me, likes me swearing, likes me doing all these things, and then they go to my website and it's like, I can think of, because I'm old, like preppy, you know, white jeans and pearls. I mean, that doesn't suit me. And someone that's attracted to me and what I'm teaching is going to look at my website and be like, what? No, like that's not going to attract them in. They're either just going to not look at it. I think of those websites that like go on and on and on forever and ever and ever, and they basically say the same thing, and then like the call to action button, like click here, reserve your spot now, call now, like on and there's so much information. It's just like, ugh. As soon as I see one of those, I literally click X. I am not interested in like being hounded by all of these crazy messages saying the same thing. So if my ideal client, oh, here goes another train. If my ideal client comes to my website and it's one that like that, she's not even going to look. So I've lost that relationship. So when I design my website, I have my ideal client in mind. In fact, I'm listening to those drop ship things, and they're all talking about how your passion has nothing to do with it. So if you pick a product that you love, oh well. What you need to do is pick a product that someone else loves, because they're the one that's going to buy it, right? And this comes down to your ideal client. The clearer you are, the more focused you are, the more you're going to attract that person to you. And so a lot of the business courses have you come up with like an avatar for your ideal client, a name, an age, not a range of ages, an age, a sex, a profession. I mean, even like, do they own or rent a house? When you're really clear about these things, just for example, let's talk about meditation, and you're trying to attract your ideal client to come to your pre-registered series. You can talk about in a recession, the stress of losing your home or something. And this is just an example. It's way out there. But if your ideal client is a homeowner, then she's not going to be turned off by what you're saying. She's actually going to see the gift that you have for her to come and lose the stress in this recession and the stress around, constantly working. And I mean, what does she need more than anything in that time? She needs you, and she needs a meditation class, right? So when you're very clear to your client, then you're not coming across as not for them or too salesy or anything like that. You're coming across as who they need. You're like that light shining in the dark that they need to come to you. So the more clear you are, and I'm even talking about like how many kids they have, what sex are their children, are they married or divorced, what kind of car do they drive? Like, you have an avatar, you have a piece of paper that is so clear, you can picture your ideal client. And the clearer you are, like the more you're putting it out there, the more that person is catching your vibes and coming right back to you. So your ideal client is the most important part of your business. But it's mentioned third because we are looking at you honing in on what you want, on putting out there who you are, and then getting clear on your client. You can do this in any way. You can decide your brand first. You want to be edgy and offer like heavy metal yoga and beer drinking yoga and cheese and fondue yoga. Like, that's what you want to offer. Okay, great. Now you know that one piece. What's the next piece? And then what client is going to come to that? Or you can start with your client. You want someone who's edgy. You want someone who swears. You want a woman that wants to take care of herself, that's in the time of transition or transformation, whatever. And then you can pick, okay, so my brand is this. The thing is, if you pick way out there, and this is why I mention it in the way that I mention it, if you pick a brand that's not you, it's kind of a charade. Right? Like you're putting out there, you're not in integrity with who you are. And but you can do that too. Like, if you want to offer this brand of this professional person, but you love being in jammies at home, I mean, that's not too far off either. Right? So just getting clear on these three things in your business it'll change things, I promise. And so when you're really, really clear on your ideal client, which is what we're looking at right now, then you're able to talk to them. Again, people magnet. They're just drawn to you because you're saying the things they want to hear. You're looking the way that they want their instructor to look, not necessarily the way they want to look, unless that's what you're doing. You're a vinyasa teacher. If I teach a lot of flow stuff, and I don't always practice with them, but I kick their butts and they know it. And that's why, they come to me, because a lot of these people are missing like the spiritual aspect of their fitness practice. So yeah, that's ideal client. So there's more. I know there's so much more to look at in your business. How to fill up classes, workshops, retreats, pre-registered series. And not only that, but like how to design them. All the pieces that go into your classes, all the pieces that go into workshops and retreats, how to do all of that stuff, what to offer in your classes, in your workshops, and what it is that you want to offer there, and what to charge people to come to these things. How to market. There's so many different ways, and webinars, and I literally could have a full-time job just watching webinars on how to kick butt, and signing up for courses. So I am also very aware of this. How to increase your sales, increase your confidence in onboarding your clients, and so much more. Even if you're just starting your business, like how to register, bookkeeping, taxes, incorporations and LLCs versus sole proprietorship, how to capitalize on private, so much more. But what I've taught you up until now is always where I start with my clients, always. And I just want to tell you, where your attention goes, your energy flows. So just by getting clear here on these 3 things, you will notice it in your business. It will change things. So I have a kick-ass Yogapreneurs business course. It's a course I designed to cover all the bases. And if you're interested in learning more, just stay on till the end of the call to hear. Okay? Oops. So a recap of what we've gone over in the webinar. Okay? Putting it all together. Get clear. Have a goal and get clear about it. Niche. Get clear what you want to put out there, your brand. Get clear. Who is it that you are selling to? Client. I want to talk about I have an idea. Close your eyes for just a second here. And imagine that you're standing near the water or something, wherever it is that you want to be, in a field, and there is a mist or a fog all around you. Okay? You don't know what's out there. And no one knows that you're out there because it's misty and foggy. And just think of mist and fog like all the other yoga teachers out there. Someone could just walk and bump into another person. Someone can miss everybody. You could walk into someone that you don't like. It's a whole navigation out there. And now just imagine that by the clearer you get on these 3 things just to start, the more the fog dissipates, the more the fog kind of rolls away. And you start to see who's around you. You start to look at who to avoid or who to go to, and people can find you. And so whenever you're ready, just open your eyes and just see that this is getting clear. Get clear, get clear, get clear. If you're putting it all together, get clear on these things. The clarity in these subjects are the most important things you can figure out for your business. So I have homework if you want it. Take 3 separate pieces of paper and put a header on each. Niche, brand, and client. And I would take a separate piece of paper, not front and back, front and back per headline. And then get crystal clear. Write as much as you can underneath those headlines so that you are you know what you're doing when you leave your study sesh. And I can help. Here's the thing. If you're looking for some more assistance with this, then join my Kick-Ass Spiritpreneurs Facebook page. And if you post up, I can help you find clarity if it feels foggy. Oh, I like that. I didn't even think of that. Because I can ask you more questions. If you're stuck on your ideal client and you're stuck on age, so you are okay with having people between the ages of 25 and 40. That's a big difference in age gap. Why is it that you're stuck on those ages? What is it that you want from a 25-year-old, and what is it that you want from a 40-year-old? If you're just trying to not leave people out, that becomes a great pitfall for us. Because when you market to everyone, you market to no one. No one's attracted to what you're putting out there. So there's deeper to it. Obviously that's the coaching world. There's something behind you not wanting to leave people out. But when you become clear about a 40-year-old, if you just think, and this is not true for everyone, but this is true for your ideal client, that a 40-year-old maybe has her kids moving out. She maybe is, or maybe she's a 40-year-old that just started having kids. That's your niche. They maybe are more financially stable than a 25-year-old who's just starting her life and getting out of school with high loans. There's differences. So when you can hone in on some of these things, those also become characteristics. So when I look at a 40-year-old, I think, ready for self-transformation. It's not true. Not all 40-year-olds are, and some 25-year-olds are. But when I'm looking at my 40-year-old, she is ready for transformation. She's ready. She's been a mom all her life, and the kids are leaving, and now she's ready to take care of herself. Financially, she's been working her whole life, and she's in a stable place where she does spend money on what she wants. Do you know what I mean? So these are all things that you would put under when you think of brand, like jammies, tight shirts, sparkles on my face all the time. Get really clear about what you want to put out there. Edgy, loving, compassionate, looking at your values. And same with where you want to go. If you want to look at meditation, there's a whole bunch of things you can offer under meditation, retreats, stuff like that, classes, all those things. So this is how I can help. If you're unclear, post up and I'll help you find clarity. So I want to take this time right now to thank everyone for jumping on the webinar with me. I was super nervous because it's the first one I've done, but I appreciate you guys hopping on here and everyone that signed up for the replay as well. We'll be sending out links and the replay in follow-up emails, not just one. So you can unsubscribe at any time. I want you to know that being on my email list has more value than sales. Sometimes I'm gonna send out links about I'll be sending out a link about the Facebook group. And then I have a great PDF that I'm going to be putting on that's a business plan for studios and teachers. Class worksheets. I have many things that I like to add to offer for value, because when it all comes down to it, I believe that we need to raise each other up. I don't want to just offer this stuff so that I make money. What I find is that we all have a job to do. And we're all out there for a reason. So if I offer this awesome course that I'm going to talk about after to you for a price that you can afford at this moment in payments, stuff like that, where you're not so stretched, then what I feel is you're going to gain the confidence and the knowledge that you need to up-level your business. And when you up-level your business and you're ready for more, then, here I am. You'll come to me to go to the next level, because that's where I'm going and that's what I'm doing. So this is where I start to talk about me. Of course, not too much, just my journey through the yoga world. So, I already shared a lot. After leaving nursing, I started offering so much out there, and I learned so much. And so when we talk about specialty trainings, I think that specialty trainings are amazing. I also think that you can go without them. Here's the difference. You can spend a weekend with your cohort, with someone to guide you, to answer your questions. Someone that's done all the research already and has put it in a way that you can take in that information, let's just say in a 20-hour training in the weekend. That's awesome. You can also just not do the training and do all the research that you need online, through books. You can do this by yourself. I started teaching yin long before I took a yin training, which I also found beneficial, because when I went in, I had this experience. So I could take in the next level. But the thing is that where you want your time to go? If you have the time to research and do all this, that's great, then do it. But if you don't and you like learning in a way that someone's guiding and supporting you through it, that's why specialty trainings are awesome. So the other piece is just that I'm getting to is that I went out there and I did all of these things, not all of the things, but I did all of these things. And what I learned from that was, oh, that didn't work. When I spent $10,000 to take people on retreat, and, my business partner and I sat down and really looked at oh, we didn't take this seriously, we were unclear about that. We were able to learn through trial and error. so that it didn't happen again. And when you work with someone that's already done these things, then you don't have to learn through trial and error. You don't have to learn through pain for people to go on retreat. You don't have to learn for showing up for consistently 3 people in a workshop. You learn how to sell. You learn to get out there. You learn from someone who's already done it. And so I made a lot of mistakes that I don't regret. And that's a piece. You can go out there and do this on your own too. It's taken me 2 years to get here to a 6-figure income. And I learned a lot along the way, and never can that experience ever be replaced. But what if your story is not those experiences? What if your story is different experiences? What if your story is like just kicking ass right out of the gate? So that's why you would work with someone who's already done this. This is why you take specialty trainings. You don't have to. You don't need to be certified in meditation to teach meditation. You learned about meditation in your yoga teacher training. There are dozens and more than that, probably hundreds of books on how to meditate. You could buy a couple books, for $60 and you can start teaching it. I mean, the books usually have meditations right in there. Or you can take a meditation teacher training where the teacher teaches you how to weave it into your classes, how to come up with your own meditations, how to structure your workshops and your series. Like, these are just, it's preference. And so that comes to the offer of, you can book a call with me. I offer 1-hour free business coaching sessions with you, where we meet up on a call and discuss your business. And the call is no pressure. At the end, I ask if you want to work with me. If you're interested, we have a sales call. Like, in the same call, we have a sales conversation. And if not, I don't just leave. I continue to support you in the best way that I can with my group, on my page, and you can either come to me for meditations or retreats, etc. I mean, the big piece is that just because you're a yoga teacher doesn't mean that you don't have a yoga practice anymore. Just because you're a yoga teacher doesn't mean you don't go to a yoga studio. Yoga teachers need teachers as well. Yoga teachers need to go on retreats. Yoga teachers need to take care of themselves like they tell everybody to take care of themselves. You need to practice what you preach. So we'll send out links. A book with me. If you want to have a call, you can like my page, which has meditations and Tarot Tuesday and Wednesday's words. And you can join my group, which has so much out there for you that can help. So that's my webinar for you guys. I want to just double check in the chat screen that I don't have any questions, and I don't see any, so I just want to ask you guys if you do have any questions. And I love that you joined me for this, and thank you for your support. So I'm not seeing any questions popping up, which means I did such an amazing job and nobody has any because I've answered all of them. So you'll get emails from me, and thank you guys. Good luck on your business, and literally I want to hear when you take this time to focus and pay attention to these pieces that may not seem so important, you're going to notice a difference in your business. So reach out. Thank you, and enjoy the replay. See you later.